All right, good evening, everybody. The meeting of the Committee on Student Achievement and School Innovation of the Board of School Directors will please come to order. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Director Ferguson.
Present.
Director Fons.
Present.
Director Herndon.
Present.
Director Benoit.
Present.
And Chair Seamson.
Present.
That's 5 present. We have a quorum.
The Chair will now ask the Secretary to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The Chair invites any members of the audience who wish to participate to do so and asks that those who do not wish to participate please remain silent during the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is being conducted from the Central Services Building. This meeting is also broadcast on the MPS YouTube stream, the link to which may be found on the MPS website on the broadcast page. Anyone wishing to access this evening's agenda items and attachments online may do so by visiting the upcoming meetings page of the MPS website. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we have a short announcement regarding interpretation services for the Spanish-speaking members of our audience.
Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a la Junta Escolar de las Escuelas Públicas de Milwaukee. Si deseas escuchar esta reunión en español, por favor llame al 312-626-6799. Otra vez, 312-626-6799. Introduzca el número de reunión 608-130-5362. Nuevamente, el número de reunión es 608-130-5362. Gracias.
Thank you. For each of our items of business, we will hold a discussion and public hearing. If you wish to speak, please fill out a speaker slip and bring it to our secretary, Dr. Owen Moore. For the sake of fairness tonight and to give everyone a chance to speak, the chair reserves the right to limit the time allowed to any one speaker. Disruptive or disrespectful behavior will not be permitted. If it occurs, the meeting may be paused and those involved may be asked to step out so we can continue in a safe and productive manner. Thank you for everyone who is helping us ensure a positive experience for all of us. And now, given that our focus this year is literacy, we have some help from with the rest of our messages from one of our young readers. Kaylin is a 7th grader at Cooper Elementary School.
Welcome to tonight's committee meeting. The committee will accept public comments on tonight's agenda items. Speakers may only address the item for which they have registered. Questions from the public may not be answered during the public comment period. Following public comment, the committee will begin its discussion and no additional comments will be accepted. When you are called upon to speak, please state your name and spell your last name for the record, like this: Tanya Jacobs, Jacobes. Written testimony will also be accepted for transmittal to the board. Send this testimony to the Board of Governance, P.O. Box 2181, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53201-2181, or email it to governance@milwaukee.k12.wi.us. Just as a reminder, Robert's Rule of Order dictates that all comments, questions, or requests should be directed to the chair, who will determine the most efficient way to address them. Also, no one other than the members of the board, designated staff, and those who have been invited to present or participate in items of business will be allowed on stage before, during, or after meetings of the board and its committees.
Thank you, Kaylin. Thank you, Kaylin, for being tonight's reader. If you have a child that would like to read for the board meeting, send a message to governance@milwaukee.k12.wi.us. Now let's begin. Madam Secretary, item 1.
Madam Chair, item 1 is monthly report with possible action on the MPS FY26 Academic Literacy Plan. This is an informational item, and although it has been noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Would the administration please present this item?
Chair Seamson and members of the committee, Brenda Caselli, Superintendent. This item provides a continued update on the district's literacy work, building on prior presentations throughout the 25-26 school year. Since the introduction of the academic plan in August, the administration has provided updates on literacy components, assessment alignment, audit recommendations, professional development, instructional materials, and collaborative efforts across schools and academics. Tonight's presentation will include highlights from the January 26, 2026 professional development session, and update on the work of the literacy leadership team, upcoming professional development opportunities, and the continued implementation of HMH version 3 materials and supports. To present this information, I'm joined by Dr. Belly Menace from the Office of Academics. Thank you.
Director Simpson, members of the board, of the committee, thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to provide you with a February update on our literacy plan. I am joined by Chief Mims Howell, and I am Ana Gabriela Bel Jimenez, your Deputy Chief Academic Officer. As always, it is very, very important that we continue to ground ourselves with the call to action for this year and for a few years, starting right now, which is to create conditions so that all of our students can read, and we mean absolutely each and every one of them, and that we are also creating pathways for each and every one of our adults to be able to intelligently serve the purpose by being teachers and leading some of that cause as well. We would like to start with a bird's eye view of where is it that we are up to this point. So January 2026 came rather quickly for us. We are happy to report that general education teachers receive all of the hard copies for their edition, the teacher edition materials before we went into winter break, and that the academics team supported and the operational manager supported so that all the materials will deliver into classrooms. We also received the printed materials for students. That was one of the things for which we were grateful for feedback and support from the board. In preparation for the professional development of January 26 with HMH, or facilitated through HMH, we met with principals. And we came together so that we were calibrated, and we knew that for Mod 5, that was going to start on the last week of January, the principals have had an opportunity to understand how was it that we were kicking off the use of the materials. And of course, we have in-person professional development from K-5 to 5th grade teachers facilitated for HMH. All of that work is in service of the work that is coming for us. So between February and June, you can expect an opportunity that is going to be created for each and every single one of our elementary schools that have received the materials. Within the comfort of the buildings, we are going to have HMH coaches coming to mentor and to coach and to model the instruction using the materials with our own children. The ask of having the opportunity to model for teachers in the comfort of their buildings with the children that they knew by name is an ask that was elevated in partnership with our colleagues from MTA that have been extraordinary stewards in bringing up to light that this was something for which we had an appetite. Because the investment on coaches to come and model is such an important part of the strategy. We want to be certain that the coaches that are coming into Milwaukee from all over the nation are modeling for the things that are most necessary for that specific building. So in order to be able to prepare the coaches to do the best coaching possible, we are going to be engaging in 3 learning walks using an HMH tool. The tool is designed to allow us to understand before the modeling how is it that we are doing on our own on the delivery of the whole group word recognition word study. We're going to use the data to be able to share it with the coaches so then they can model on that. After that, we're going to engage in a second walkthrough to see how is it that the modeling is supporting our strategy. Then the HMH coaches will come a second time and model, and then we will engage in a third time. In between those things, we are also planning for professional development for K-5 to 5th grade teachers on April 30th and on the 1st. It is important to name and to remind you that last month we were here, We ask for your flexibility to be able to put a pause in letters training in the month of January because we wanted to prioritize HMH professional development, but we're capturing back letters training. This is training that was already on the docket. We were already planning to do it, but I just wanted to bring that update that on April 30th and the 1st, we're going to be recapturing that. And of course, we're going to continue to partner with instructional leaders. Another update that we have for you is the work that we are engaging with the Milwaukee Reading Coalition. I am honored to be able to serve as a representative of MPS in service of the work of the coalition as a future commissioner. Overwhelmingly, the commission comes consequential to understanding that across the city there is a need for us to engage in collective conversations about literacy, and I will be one of the colleagues that are going to be supporting and bringing back information to give you updates on it. The agenda for today has 4 points. We are going to be talking about recent professional development. We want to share with you how is it that we're moving on an upward trend in relationship to the ways the professional development is going. We want to bring you up to speed on the literacy team that was instituted in December. We want to talk about upcoming professional development and also provide you with an update on HMH version 3 materials and the update. All right, let's start with recent professional development. You will be able to see in this slide the number of survey responses that we received on November 24th and 25th versus the number of responses that we received in the January 2026 professional development. You can see that there's a little bit, it's about a 100 survey responses gap. You can see that overwhelmingly for both of the opportunities, the vast majority of the feedback respondents were our K-5 to 5th grade teachers, which makes a lot of sense, and that we also continue to have representation for special education paraprofessionals in different grade levels. So the information overwhelmingly that we're going to present to you in relationship to the responses is representative of the experience of K-5 through 5th grade. This is information or the summary connected to the January 26 professional development. I would invite us to concentrate on the section of the bars that are in the light blue and the deep blue, as those are the ones that are answering the inquiries through a strongly agree or agree. You can see on the first bar that the question is, does this PD, the PD appropriately tailor to my grade level, subject area, and role? And you can see how 43% agree and 37% strongly agree. Overwhelmingly, the trend that you are seeing here is that we are getting better at getting better, right, in relationship to the feedback that we're receiving. The second question connects to the time provided to reflect, discuss, and plan with colleagues. We are making better than 50%. We're making a good mark for better than 50%. The third question attends to the structures and the facilitation for the professional development. Just a reminder that the professional development on the 26th was led by our colleagues from HMH. We're seeing really positive responses here. The following question is connected to whether or not, upon leaving the professional development, our colleagues had a sense of understanding of how to apply the learning that they have done by the role. And once again, we're seeing 41 and 29% of the responses being quite positive. So the trend is really solid, and once again, we're looking at an N of 1,216. This slide is now on comparative feedback. So you can see how the bars in yellow are November, the light blue is December, and the deep blue is January. So once again, there is evidence here on how we are continuing to get better at getting better by staying true to the work and by continually working alongside colleagues and partners and receiving the feedback and acting on it. We are improving or maintaining on really positive marks. This graph is completely connected on K-5 to 5th grade and literacy professional development. And once again, you are seeing from November to January, the percentage of respondents who agree or strongly agree on each of the statements. The first statement being, today's PD provided time to reflect, discuss, plan, and plan with other colleagues. We went from 58 to 79. This is a huge win for us, and we're so, so grateful for the feedback and the partnership that we continue to receive from our colleagues in buildings and our colleagues from MTA, because it is through the feedback that we're able to make these gains. The second question is connected to the structure and facilitation of today's PD, supported active and meaningful learning. We go from 50% to 74%. We're seeing a 1 percentile decrease on I am leaving today's PD knowing how to apply what I learned in my role. I would argue that a 1% difference feels as strongly as a win, as this was the first professional development that we had on version 3. So that is still quite positive. And today's PD was clearly communicated and well organized. Remember that we had some logistical issues in the beginning of the school year. Some of our colleagues expressed not knowing exactly where they needed to be, at what time they needed to be, to do what. We're seeing an increase from 50 to 75%. So we are really celebrating the partnership that has allowed us to continue to grow here. It is important to also have, alongside the quantitative measures, some of the qualitative measures. So we see some really positive trends. The vast majority of the feedback, over 70%, agree or strongly agree that the professional development was really well tailored, well structured, collaborative, and applicable. Teachers identified quite clearly that there were specific instructional resources and that they planned to use it immediately upon professional development. We also have a nice trend of citations in which it was elevated, that clear guidance on how to implement the tools was also of great support. And then teachers highlighted a data-focused learning entry point and the use of assessments to inform their practice. So overall, there's always in everything that we do an opportunity for us to continue to improve, but we believe wholeheartedly that because of the partnerships, we're able to continue to get better at it. Some key next steps are to continue to ensure that district-wide expectations are clear in relationship to the reading block, to ensure that there's clear understanding on how the content presented by HMH is directly connected to our MPS classrooms, and it is not like the box professional development from HMH, and to continue to provide more modeling and videos during professional development, which is deeply connected to the strategy of having the coaches come in. In order to be able to prepare our instructional leaderships, because we know the principal leadership is of absolute critical importance, and we knew that teachers were going to receive professional development on the 26th, we tailored a beefy professional development opportunity during PLI on January 14th. So the picture that you can see on the screen has all of the principals engaging in watching a video of an HMH lesson to be able to calibrate on what are some things that we can look for to continue to support our teachers in their instructional practice. During the professional development on January 14th, principals were introduced not only to the high-level components of HMH version 3, but also were able to practice on the look-for tools and to be able to connect with each other and with the academic superintendents. All right, let's talk about the literacy leadership team. This slide is not new for us, but I believe that it's really, really important that we continue to be calibrated and clear on the strategy. Change is hard, and it is complex. And even if it is good change, it is complex. So we have a commitment. We clearly understand that there are 4 components to the implementation of the high-quality instructional materials. We have whole group instruction and small group instruction for both the integrated literacy block and for the word study word recognition. Our commitment is that we are going to concentrate our efforts in relationship to professional development to each of the components so we can get better at each of the components at a time, and then we're going to sustain that learning. So on the first part of the slide, you can see how our commitment for second semester of this year and first semester of next year is connected to the whole group instruction for both word recognition and integrated reading and writing. The part of the slide that has the trains reminds us that there is a leadership team that continues to come together to ensure of the health and the viability of the strategy. And that train is in continuous movement. And that train allows us to plan and intelligently serve and support our instructional leaders through professional development and PLI. Through that collective partnership, they were also ensuring that we have the appropriate cadence of professional development for teachers, supports through HMH, and that we are collecting data to ensure that the strategy is resulted into the things that we desired. The leadership team has been meeting every other week since the month of December, and the image here is of that team. It's a two-pronged strategy. Once a month, we meet as academics team and office of schools team, and 2 weeks later, the same offices meet alongside teachers and district level leadership staff and principals. All right, let's talk about upcoming professional development. This is another way of looking at the same strategy that we were sharing. We have a strategically organized professional development. In January, we were able to engage in professional development for whole group word recognition. In the month of April, we're going to start looking at whole group integrated reading and writing. HMH coaches are coming to support modeling at each of our buildings so teachers can have access to modeling with children that they know in the safety and the comfort of their own buildings. And in order to ensure that the strategy is yielding the results that we desire, we are engaging in instructional walkthroughs. In relationship to upcoming professional development, between February 9th and February 20th, we are going to be engaging in these learning walks. Academic superintendents and principals are aligning in order to be able to engage in these walkthroughs. This is a great opportunity for us to continue to invest in principals and in their leadership. The objective is to observe with a great amount of intentionality on the word recognition and word study lessons. So we're talking about a 20 to 25-minute block opportunity on the daily schedule. And the objective is not that they're staying for the entire 25 minutes, but they are there between 7 and 12 minutes to be able to collect information, provide positive and constructive feedback, and understanding that that feedback is going to allow us to then direct the work of the HMH coaches for modeling. Now let's do a quick update on the materials. As I shared in the beginning of the presentation, all general education materials that were part of the initial order were delivered by December, and then were unpacked before we started on March 5, which was the last week of January. As part of the natural process of ensuring that we have everything that is needed, and because we have run into a little bit of complexities in relationship to manual counting, we realized, and through the feedback that we received, that some teacher editions were missing for special education teachers and ESL teachers. We're happy to report that we are already working with the finance team, and we're expecting for those materials, the physical materials, to arrive properly. The last update that we have is in relationship to Act 20. Just a reminder that we engage in the update of instructional materials in the month of December, that we are expecting and are ready to submit as soon as our bill is paid for up to 50% reimbursement for materials from kindergarten to third grade. That is the vast majority, and I will be bringing an update on that as soon as that is submitted. Also, in relationship to Act 20, we received communications from the Department of Public Instruction to notify us that 33 of our schools were identified as eligible to participate in the early literacy coaching program for the next 2 years. We have worked as part of a cross-departmental team and have submitted and did submit applications on February 9th. And we're open for questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. We're going to go to speakers lists first. Are there any speakers who are virtual?
We do not have
registered?
any virtual
Okay.
speakers.
Then if I could have Amanda McElhoon come forward, and after her will be Monica Lopez.
Good evening, everyone. I am here first and foremost because I really want this new reading and writing program to work. Truly, I believe in the mission behind it, and I believe our students deserve strong, joyful literacy instruction. And to be clear, there are some positives. The interactive parts of the curriculum, especially classcraft, have been a game changer for student engagement. In the one period where I'm actually able to use it, engagement has been increased exponentially. Students who previously struggled to access the curriculum are now participating. Even my fourth grade non-readers are engaged in attempting the work. They love seeing their responses appear on the smartboard. That kind of visibility and interaction matters, and when the tools work, our kids rise to meet the moment. But right now, the tools aren't working consistently. Only one of my class periods can access Classcraft. I've reached out to HMH, and they can see the access on their end, yet I cannot access the teach button needed to release it to the second group of students. So one class gets dynamic engaging instructions and the other does not. That's an equity issue. And today, HMH tech support hung up on me when I explained that I still couldn't see it. There are also serious concerns with the reading and writing block itself. There is simply too much in each block. It's impossible to cover everything required for reading and still provide substantial writing time within the 90 minutes. The math doesn't math. The skill jump has been problematic, especially in grammar. I'm expected to teach modal auxiliary verbs when students don't yet have a solid understanding of verbs or all the different types of pronouns when those units were skipped. We are building a house without a foundation. Students are expected to write a full essay each week. Our students don't yet have the stamina for that. The online platform is difficult to navigate. At our January PDA came with very basic questions about where to find materials on the platform, and even the person from HMH couldn't answer them. And I'm still waiting on parking lot questions to be answered. I'll be honest, I'm embarrassingly 9 lessons behind in writing because I don't know what I'm allowed to cut without harming future lessons. The program is so dependent on the online component that it's incredibly hard to leave plans for substitutes or for a pair to pick up in a moment of emergency. The rigid pacing doesn't allow room for school-based experiences like Mad Hot Ballroom, the STEM Fair, Unsol J, BizTown Black History projects, or even the small group instruction, Tier 3 intervention, or heck, science and social studies. There's not time. We're being told that this is a year of grace, yet regional superintendents are walking through with calendars and pacing guides, checking if we're on the right box. That's the antonym of grace. We are spending 5 full days on assessments at the end of each model on top of weekly assessments, and then when we raise concerns, many of us are met with silence. Look, I want this to work, probably more than most. I have offered to do whatever I can to make this literacy plan successful because our students need it to be. But the conversation keeps happening with consultants from HMH and the people who are not in our classrooms. Hi, I'm way cheaper. Call me. Call any of my colleagues. We are in this every single day. We know what's working, what's not, and what our students actually need. Stop listening to only people who haven't stepped foot in our classrooms telling us how this should be done. Let's be a team. Bring educators to the table. If the goal is that all will read, let's build a plan rooted in classroom reality so our students don't just comply with a program, but truly soar. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica Lopez, followed by Ingrid Henry Walker.
Good evening, Monica Lopez, LOP Easy. I'm a K-5 teacher in MPS, 22 years. Success for literacy depends on some critical factors, mainly a clear, consistent implementation plan. If literacy truly is our priority, the people on the ground need to have very detailed implementation our questions answered. Not media bullet points, not shifting interpretations, but a coherent plan. And right now, we don't have consistency. There's a disconnect between HMH and MPS's interpretation of the implementation of HMH. For example, in Learning Community 1, during my HMH professional development, the HMH representatives were able to clearly explain and answer questions about their program, their platform. They did, and that's, I think, where you see on the PowerPoint, the strongly agree and agree is because HMH knows their product and was able to demonstrate. But then the disconnect came when teachers wanted to ask clarifying questions about the district's instructional guide and the walkthrough rollout, and HMH couldn't answer those questions because they were specific to MPS's interpretation. So there were principals there, literacy support staff, and they couldn't provide clarity. And there was no academic superintendent there available, and so that's a big gap. Without a consistent message, our implementation also varies between learning community. Currently, learning communities are interpreting because we don't have details in our implementation. One community decided that they needed to do 4 walkthroughs a day, their principals, resulting in multiple classroom observations 2 to 3 times a week. Some schools conduct 5-minute visits, others conduct 15-minute mini visits. The district guidance communicated that there's going to be 3 walkthroughs with HMH. This learning community decided, oh, we'll do a pre-walkthrough. All of this is excessive, and it's not helpful. And then I hear about a 20-minute block for word recognition when on my paper says I have hour block, and my 5-year-olds had 40-minute of full group. And I know that's not developmentally appropriate, but I don't know how the district is interpreting me spending those 40 minutes. So we really can read the manual, we can read the instructional guide, but we need to see modeling. And I think that with modeling we need to see is MPS's modeling, not HMH's modeling, because we're interpreting it differently. So we need to be able to understand what MPS wants. Consistency and clarity is what we need. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ingrid Walker-Henry, followed by Elizabeth Cosma.
Ingrid Walker-Henry, WALKER-HENRY. MTEA has been working in earnest with the superintendent's team to get the administration's literacy plan on a path towards success. In March, May, and August of 2025, MTEA made requests of this superintendent's team for PD plans. Disastrous September PD resulted in workers voting overwhelmingly that they had no confidence in MPS to deliver quality PD, quality coherent PD. In October, MTEA met with superintendent's team for 2 days in our basement to correct course on the administration's literacy and PD plan. In November, the superintendent's team, including veteran administrators, tried to force teachers to engage in PD for 7 hours straight on the 24th and 25th with no time for teacher planning, in violation of our longstanding, well-known meet and confer agreement with the administration that PD days are split evenly between administrative directive time and teacher directed time. Which administrator is the superintendent holding responsible to ensure that MPS is complying with longstanding meet and confer agreements? The superintendent's team, including veteran members of the administration, violated the employee handbook and did not pay teachers who were forced to travel in November until February. Which administrator is the superintendent holding responsible to ensure that MPS is in compliance with the employee handbook? MTEA made clear to MGT and the administration that literacy planning meetings must have all parties present every single time. MTEA thought we had agreement from the administration and MGT on this, yet meetings occurred without Bell Jimenez, Mims, Howland, Roberts, and myself in the same room. Earlier this week, I met with them and Dominic and voiced this again. Everyone in the room agreed that we will meet together, not separately, going forward, and we set up standing Friday meetings. Wednesday morning, MTEA learned that at 8:30, a meeting was called by MGT or MPS, and I was not invited. Our agreement was broken for a second time. Who in administration is charged with ensuring that all parties are invited to the literacy planning meetings? There have been 6 months of unnecessary stops and starts due to the ongoing lack of agreed-upon standard operating procedures between administration and MTEA. This is compounded with the addition of HMH walkthroughs. In this district, there are educator effectiveness announced observations, educator effectiveness unannounced observations. There are HQ walkthroughs. There are HMH walkthroughs. There are student walkthroughs, and there are principal visits. There is a lack of common language and understanding on these initiatives. Who in administration is charged with ensuring common understanding and alignment of the work across academic learning communities? MTEA has spent an inordinate amount of time trying to get PLCs corrected in Learning Community 5 alone. They're happening in violation of Admin Procedure 6.23 under the direction of Academic Superintendent Jennifer Hernandez. MTEA is asking for immediate intervention from SASI Chair Simpson and all members of the committee to get this critical work for students righted. And I have copies that I will pass out.
Thank you. Elizabeth Kosmak, and followed by Angela Harris.
Good evening, Elizabeth Kosmak, K-O, S as in Sam, M as in Mary, A-C-H. That's how my mom taught me how to spell it. I've been coming to SASI since day one talking about this literacy rollout, and it's upsetting. I sat in a room in October with MTEA administration and MGT, and by the end of that, I knew it was all smoke and mirrors. I knew that they heard us, but were going to do what they wanted to do. And it's disheartening. When one administrator says, well, teachers just need to teach reading. You don't think we want to teach reading? We have students that are dysregulated. Not 1, not 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's our job to keep them calm so we can teach reading. This literacy rollout is upsetting. Yes, we don't have a Google Doc anymore, but the PD on the 26th, a second grade teacher had the K-5 first grade slides. They didn't have the second grade slides. One of the teachers I talked to wrote an email asking MPS administration, like in the literacy department, can you come and model this for me? The email response was, sorry, I'm busy, I don't have time. Then other teachers asked, where do I find this from HMH? They said, well, I don't know. And the people in the back, the administration in the back, knew that was unacceptable. We are paying millions to this company, and they are doing nothing for us. In another walkthrough, I heard it's an incredible opportunity for a walkthrough. For who? People are not trained. I know teachers aren't trained, but that is your fault as the board, because you are supposed to keep administration accountable. Leadership team is talking 2028. That's unacceptable. We have all these PD days now, and what are we doing? Word study for one, but you expect frontline workers to jump in and teach everything. It's unacceptable, and it's really tiring, and we want to teach reading, and we want our scores to go up, but you are failing us right now, and you're making us feel like we can't do this. People are jumping ship because of the disorganization, and it's upsetting. And I don't even teach classroom reading, but I'm speaking for everyone else, because you need to hear what's going on. Because the damage control email that was sent out this morning or last night was not acceptable. Oh, now you can have PD. Now we can have PD? That's not okay. We need to do better for our students. We need to do better for our workers. And we need to work together because our scores do need to go up. But you're not helping. You're making it worse on teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Angela Harris, and then after that it will be Jennifer Lopez.
Superintendent Casilius, members of the committee. Angela Harris, Harris. I, like my union sibling, Amanda, really want this to be successful. My master's thesis, I told y'all when I first started, is an explicit phonics instruction, and I know how important it is for our babies to be able to read and to read well. But I want to start by naming something plainly. It's not that teachers aren't trying. We are trying. We are trying. We are trying to implement a new 60-minute foundational skills block. We are trying to implement a 90-minute reading and writing block. We are trying to run small groups and stations. We are trying to meet math minutes, science minutes, social studies minutes, interventions, IEP minutes, and everything else. My question for you all is, where are those minutes supposed to come from? Because right now, the only place where those minutes are coming from in many cases is my personal time. There has been no systemic adjustment to the school day, no embedded planning time for this level of shift, no restructuring of expectations. We are building the plane while we're flying it on our own time. Teachers are also navigating a lack of curriculum alignment. Between the new curriculum and the district-mandated assessments, we are being asked to implement one system while being measured by something completely different. That creates confusion for us as teachers and instability for our students. Additionally, 33 schools were identified for literacy coaching support, which I believe is great, but how were those schools selected? What criteria was used? What percentage of schools does that represent? If the implementation support is uneven, then we know equity is uneven. I also want to address the role of learning walks and walkthroughs. Walkthroughs can be a powerful tool when they are coaching and growth centered, very powerful. But when major shifts are being implemented without time to plan, without full modeling, and without assessment alignment, walkthroughs can quickly feel like compliance checks rather than instructional support. So how are we ensuring that walkthroughs are used to build teacher capacity, not to monitor pacing or fidelity in ways that increase stress during an already complex transition? I also must name that literacy isn't just about the materials. It's not about the text. It's about ensuring students see themselves. It's about linguistic diversity. It's about culturally responsive practices and not narrowing that in the name of uniform implementation. And finally, how are we measuring student growth by June in a way that reflects actual literacy development, not just compliance to pacing guides? Teachers are not resistant to literacy reform. We are literacy experts, but reform without time, without planning structures, without assessment alignment, without equitable support, and without protection for culturally relevant teaching is not sustainable. We cannot keep adding expectations without subtracting something else. If the goal is all will read, if that is the goal, then we must ensure that the adults that are doing the work have the time, alignment, structural support, and culturally responsive guidance to make this real. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer Lopez, followed by Carol Ramos.
Jennifer Lopez, LOPEZ, Manitoba 6th, 7th grade teacher, MTA executive board member. I would like to begin by stating that I am a reading teacher for grades 6 and 7, previously an interventionist and school support teacher. I hold a literacy license, and even I am confused at the current literacy plan that has been dropped in our laps. We do agree that we need to improve our literacy plan to better meet our students' needs, but rolling this out with very little teacher input, no training, and little support is not responsible. The units for middle school are not only disconnected, but not cohesive with assessment expectations. It does not spiral the skills and standards to give students multiple opportunities to build an enduring understanding of the skills. I feel it is almost bare bones. I have to create a study guide to help teach the skills, and middle school teachers in many other schools have asked for my support to help them understand the format, practices, and details of the word study as well. Middle school needs support. We are the bridge for elementary and high school. Without a strong middle school, you're going to create even bigger gaps before they even get to high school. The expectation is for middle school teachers who only have a 60-minute reading block to teach not only the 55-minute lesson daily that's in the pacing guide that they're coming to check that makes sure we're on, but now we're integrating writing with that, which writing needs to be taught also independently, because you have to have independent writing lessons, mini lessons, to even introduce it before you get into the writing. There's so many parts that are not being taken into consideration and putting in, just shoving more and more into the 60-minute reading block. We have to teach reading in the 60 minutes. We have to teach all the essential components, all of the reading behaviors. It's more than just opening a book, reading, and answering questions. It's dissecting the information. It's getting the kids to connect with the material. It's getting kids to take, memory and try to connect to what we're learning. It's so much more than that. And you just keep shoving more and more on this plate. How much more can we do in 60 minutes and still come out with, kids that are happy to learn instead of being shoved all this stuff down their throats? I worry about how we're supposed to integrate the writing with this, and now a word study block as well. Like Harris said, what are we taking off to make more room for the new initiatives? And yes, these new initiatives are very important. They need to happen. But we can't expect teachers to teach unless they know what they're teaching, until they know how to plan, how to feel it, how to grow it. And then, only then can we then divulge it to our littles so they can take it in. None of this has been explained or modeled for us, but yet there's people already doing walkthroughs. We were given links to pages and pages of new curriculum with no direction, unclear expectations, and no considerations to our timelines. So please, respect the teachers, respect the people who help us out, and give us the support we need so that we can integrate these great ideas and to make them work. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol Ramos, followed by, sorry, I'm going to say this wrong, Glory Mar. You know who you are. You're next. Thank you.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Carol Ramos, R-A-M-O-S, and I teach the 4th and 5th grade split classroom for the bilingual program at Forest Home Elementary. I'm here today to express the concerns that the current pacing guide sets unrealistic expectations for instructional delivery, particularly within the bilingual department. This pacing guide does not fully align with assessment timelines, NAEP, Access, Forward Exam, iReady, Amira, and does not adequately account for instructional interruptions such as holidays and school programming. Bilingual educators have limited instructional minutes while being expected to teach 3 texts that integrate reading skills, grammar, word study, and writing within strict deadlines. Multilingual learners require intentional scaffolding, repetition, and extended practice. And the current pacing does not reflect the time needed for meaningful mastery and language development our students need. Implementing this pacing guide in split grade classrooms adds further complexity. Managing multiple grade level standards, varying language proficiency levels, and diverse academic readiness makes strict adherence to a uniform timeline impractical and inequitable. A one-size-fits-all approach does not support the differentiation required in these settings. Despite the 12 years of experience in bilingual education and curriculum implementation, the condensed timelines and volume of required tasks this year have limited the depth and quality of instruction students deserve in my classroom. Without thoughtful adjustments, the pacing structure risks prioritizing coverage over comprehension and long-term success. So I respectfully suggest Please reconsider redesigning the pacing guide to reflect realistic instructional time and assessment alignment. Provide flexible timelines for bilingual and split grade classrooms. Embed a structured reteaching and intervention windows. Prioritize high-impact standards to promote depth over breadth. Include bilingual and split grade teachers' voices in your revisions, and conduct a workload review to ensure expectations are sustainable. This feedback is intended to advocate for instructional structures that are equitable, sustainable, and aligned with the student needs. Adjusting the pacing framework will better support both teacher effectiveness and student achievement. And last but not least, when you come to my classroom, I'm a split classroom bilingual teacher. Please bring me the strategy, bring me the tools, and I'll be more than happy to teach my babies. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that we just have one more speaker on this item, and then we'll move to him. Okay, so you should be the last one, I think.
Okay, my name is Glorimar Melendez, and I really don't want to be here on a Thursday night. But we're here because we're colleagues, we work at the same school, and we're stressed up to our heads. Anyway, my last name, Melendez. And those who know me are aware of my professionalism and my love for teaching. And if you don't believe me, you can watch a story on me on TMJ News. And I invite you to come visit my classroom where I have 3 hydroponic units. So we are teachers that love what we do. But unfortunately, this is the second time this year that I've had to come and speak to the board, being here in Milwaukee for 10 years. I've been a teacher for 27 years. I moved from Puerto Rico here thinking I would have better opportunities. And I never felt it was necessary to come. But this year has been difficult. I have experienced so much stress. It has been more difficult than my first year here, and that is saying a great deal. I am not against change. Change can be positive when it is well thought out, carefully planned, and when those responsible for implementing it, which is us, are included in the process. When this school year began, there was no pacing guide available. As professionals, we still prepared. I prepared planning in August and followed last year's pacing guide because that was the only guidance provided. In October, we were suddenly required to shift to an entirely new pacing guide and instructional structure without any training. We were expected to understand major instructional changes through a video that did not provide much clarity. During mandatory October professional development, the focus was co-teaching, and no one was talking about the modules. The modules was optional, which I didn't understand why. We were told this would be a year of grace and not to worry. We spoke with Dr. Bell, and she's a very nice person, but we are still struggling. In January, we received professional development on the new literacy pacing, and respectfully, it did not equip us to implement with confidence. We were shown where to find materials, but not how to deliver them effectively. And honestly, these survey results that we saw, they're not accurate. If you talk to the teachers in the schools, that's why we're here. To be honest, I feel like leaving. And I love what I do. And my students are a testament, and my parents. But it's so much that there's not enough time in the day to do everything that we're required to do. As bilingual educators, we need to teach English, Spanish, math, health, social studies, technology, second step, and what time? It's overwhelming. So if I was to grade the supposedly professional development, I would grade it as an F. If they can't teach us right, how do they expect us to teach what they can't teach us? From January 5th to January 3rd, we administered I-Ready testing in Spanish, English, and math in small groups with no interruptions as directed by our principals. So we're testing all that time, but then all of a sudden, today, and that's where we're here, we received in our grade level meeting that there's an email that we need to hurry up and finish module 5 that I just started because I've been testing my students, because it's not only all these testing, it's the science test, the social studies test, all these people that are up there and they need data to guarantee that we need them. We don't need them. All these people up there, we do not need them. They're requesting so much testing from our students because they need data to analyze. We don't need data. We need more time to actually do our job. I'm sorry, but
That's okay. If you could, I know there's a lot of feeling and
it's
emotion.
a
If you
lot
could just-
because
if you could
we
try
love,
to wrap it
we're
up.
here
I'm so
because
sorry.
who knows us? We love what we do. I've been teaching for 27 years, and I have to stay in my school working till 10 at night, dealing with my plants. I do it. You know, we give the extra mile, and we are feeling really overwhelmed.
Thank you.
I'm not done yet. If you can give me time.
We do have to make sure
Okay.
we have time for all other things this evening.
Oh,
So
but I
thank you.
signed up
So
for the second
sorry.
part, and I want to finish what I started.
Okay.
Thank you.
Come back then. I'm so sorry. I just want to thank the speakers. It's very important that we hear from you. I did try to ignore the little red button there as much as I could to give you that opportunity to kind of share all of your experiences with us. So thank you to everybody for kind of allowing everyone to speak tonight past that time limit. So now we move back to our committee members unless, I don't know if administration wants to say anything at this point, or do you want to go to committee?
Chair Simpson and directors and committee members and all of our testifiers, we know that it has been a bumpy and difficult transition. We know that it's fast-paced. We know that some of our teachers are struggling more than others, and some are needing additional coaching. We know that the pacing has been heavy. We are taking all of this feedback, and I know that we've been at the table with MTA. I know that our academic superintendents and chiefs have had other obligations as well, and so we are committed to continuing to meet with the MTA. I have our chief of schools who can't be there tomorrow, so I'm showing up to the meeting. So we are making sure that we are going to continue to look at that, and then the teachers that were here this evening, we'll make sure we reach out and make sure that they have the proper supports that they need.
Okay.
And then we'll follow up with our vendor as well.
All right, thank you. All right, committee members for comments and questions. Director Vanoy.
I had just a couple questions. I'm a little confused about who's doing the walkthroughs. Is it HMH? Is it our staff? Is it teachers who are already trained? Like who exactly are doing those walkthroughs, and when are those happening? That was one of my questions. Do we have experienced teachers who have already done this work or are already trained? Also, there was something about summer on there, and I was wondering, is there going to be summer training or summer opportunities for teachers and staff? Those were two questions that I noticed, because if we're busy trying to do all of this while people are working, it is incredibly stressful. So if we could take the opportunity to maybe do some work in the summer.
All right, administration.
Chair Simpson, Director Vanoy, I'm going to let Gabby Bell Venice speak to that, and Chief Mims, if they want to talk about like Saturday and summer programming that we have that's optional for teachers, paid time for them as well, and then talk about the coaching strategy for teachers, and then the walkthroughs.
Director Vanoy, members of the board, thank you for the inquiry. So the walkthroughs specifically are designed for academic superintendents to walk alongside principals. And we have come to an agreement of having only 3 of those HMH walkthroughs take place. And they are in complete service of the modeling and coaching strategy that is connected to HMH. To your inquiry about additional professional development, we have heard from some of our colleagues that there was an appetite and a willingness for additional professional development if it could be made available outside of work hours and paid. So in service of that, we communicated earlier this week with a principal that shared the information with teachers that we have HMH coaches coming to town this Saturday, the 14th, and again on the 21st of February. That continues to be an optional professional development to be paid and in support of anyone that would like an additional opportunity.
Follow-up, Director Benoit?
No, I think that's good.
Okay, thank you. Other committee members? All right, no other hands. Okay, so just a couple of things then. I'm trying to put things in buckets, and it just seems like the learning walks are sort of like one thing. The meetings that take place with MGT administration, the MTEA, and then, they ask for sort of more teacher input. So that's sort of like another bucket. I think the block itself and how that's, we've heard that for a while now, just like that block and what that really looks like in the classroom and how to fit all of those pieces in. Maybe that disconnect from like what HMH looks like and our own expectations. Just going back to the meetings with like the voice of MGT administration, teacher input, thinking also of the middle school bilingual teachers. I'm just wondering if, that was, I think I just said like 5 things. If we could, as a board, just maybe be given updates on maybe how those things are being addressed, in what meetings with whom, or if you want to bring some of that back to SASI, whatever is sort of works best, I think, with administration, just so we can kind of keep up with, how these issues are being resolved. And, when you talk about that year of grace, I think it, extends to everybody. And yes, we've been through a lot, a multitude of changes as we started this school year. So I think everybody anticipates those bumps in the road, but we also want to make sure we're taking action steps. So I don't know what would be best to bring some of that. I mean, we'll have our monthly updates to the SASI committee, but some of these specific things, if that would be email follow-ups or just agenda items, just so we can keep on top of it.
Chair Simpson, members, be glad to bring all of that back to you. We've taken note on what you've requested here. I do want to just generally speak to the really significant change that this is. And I know I'm a secondary teacher like Director Fonz. I mean, we typically have 1 or 2 preps that we have to do, like I was a social studies teacher, and, I taught history and geography, and I had to prepare that. I have never wanted to be an elementary teacher because of so much that they have to teach. Every single subject, and then they have so many other things, plus they have to tie shoes and rub noses and all of that other stuff that they have to do. And I am grateful for your incredible service to our children each and every day. We have some of the best teachers in all of the state of Wisconsin, and I know that some of our teachers are struggling with the pace of this change, and I know they want their children to learn to read. And so I want our teachers to know we value them, we are hearing them, we are adjusting, and we have been adjusting with all of this feedback to get better. So I'm very appreciative of the testimony, I'm very appreciative of the work that they do, and we'll just continue to work through this and get better and get more comfortable with the task ahead.
Thank you so much.
And adjust as we can adjust accordingly.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important that we have that testimony and have those meetings where more voices are heard, because, I know one thing that I used to feel as a classroom teacher was that disconnect from what was happening at central office and what was happening in the classroom. So I think anything we can do to kind of make sure we're hearing voices from and a wide range of voices will just help us make that bridge, build that bridge.
Chair Simpson and members, just so you know, I'm also in buildings and observing literacy instruction. So as much as I can get out there and observe it too and talk to real live teachers in the field, and hear the stories myself. Thank you.
Thanks. Director Ferguson.
Thank you, Chair Simpson. I was very encouraged to going through the slide, hearing that we're getting better at getting better. I really like that. But then I became concerned when we have teachers standing before us saying that they don't know where this data is coming from, but this hasn't been their experience. So can you speak to how we're actually capturing the teachers' voices? If we're saying we're listening and we're hearing them, how are we capturing that, and how are we actualizing the feedback that they're giving us?
Administration.
Chair Simpson, Director Ferguson, members of the committee, Jennifer Mills Howell, Chief Academic Officer. So there's a couple ways that we're doing. As mentioned before, we have been meeting with MTEA to get the voice of their members. We also receive feedback from teachers randomly who email with questions or concerns. We also receive information from constituent complaints. In both instances there, we directly talk to that person. We either call them or we send back an email. The other way we can getting the feedback, which was shown on the survey today, is that there's a survey link at the end of each professional development. Teachers can take it. We encourage them to take it. However, we don't alter the data in any way. We just take what they say. The teachers who are speaking to you before you today, yes, the situations they are in are real. We've seen it in classrooms on our walkthroughs. We've also seen the other side too. We know that change is going to be difficult. We also want to help encourage people, and we want to meet them where they are. So we do encourage people to put real feedback on that survey too. And as you saw on the survey today, there were people who are still not in the two blue colors. So we do know we need to continue to work on it. So as we get information put into our we have a FAQ we get information from. As we get more and more of that feedback, we'll start to share that with people. But we also are trying to meet people's needs where they are and encourage those who want the support that we're giving. As mentioned before, the Saturday sessions are available. We will be doing some summer enrichment as well to make sure that people have everything that they need. HMH just began doing their walks. They too are learning the Milwaukee Public Schools way of classrooms and how they are. As you know, our kindergarten classrooms look a lot different than our third grade classrooms. And so the HMH coaches, while learning the culture of Milwaukee Public Schools, also need to look at the kind of students we have and where our students are. Our teachers are trying very, very hard. They are asking some very good but tough questions. HMH can't always do that. So we have been working hard to make sure that an MPS person is also available. And if not, the question is taken down and sent to Dr. Bel Jimenez, who can get back to make sure they get an answer.
Do you have a follow-up, Director Ferguson?
Not necessarily a follow-up, but if I may, one other question. It was brought up tonight, a lack of curriculum alignment. Can you speak a little bit to what's happening there and how we're addressing it?
Administration.
Director Simpson, Director Ferguson, thank you so much for the inquiry. I understood the weight of the inquiry connected to lack of curriculum alignment in relationship to the amount of curricular resources that especially general education teachers have to interact with on the day-to-day in order to be able to serve the master of each and every one of the content areas. There are opportunities, of course, as we continue to move forward, to be able to create better coherence in relationship to the ways in which different curricular resources for different content areas support each other. That requires a level of sophistication and maturity of a system. I am pretty new into the organization. Our call to action has been in relationship to literacy, and that is where we're starting. As we continue to get better at getting better, we're going to be able to start possibly 2 years from now to see if there are specific places or ways in which we can organize science and social studies content, for example, so it's more harmonious with the content that we're teaching for specific literacy units. But that will require a little bit of time. Yeah.
Any follow-up? Okay. All right. Any questions, Director Herndon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just first of all want to say thank you, teachers, so much. I appreciate you so much. At the same time, I'm sitting here trying to imagine how it would be to experience what you described tonight. Specifically, I'd like administration to, if they don't have the answer right now, which you probably don't necessarily have it, I wouldn't expect it at this juncture. Some of the teachers, most of the teachers spoke of a limited time frame in relation to performing the duties that are expected of them. Do you have any plans of, are there any tools that you can use that would help them more? What I would, as an individual, if I put myself in your shoes, to me, it would be I'd be watching the clock more than I'd be necessarily teaching the students so that I could make sure I made those minutes, and that's an inordinate amount of stress if we were to put ourselves in their shoes. So I would ask the administration to do everything you possibly can to reduce that stress level, because that rubs off on the kids, and we don't want to lose you, bottom line. So anything that we can do, I'm all for it.
Thank you, Director Herndon. Administration?
Chair Simpson and Director Herndon, I think you both know that the student day and the teacher day in terms of minutes is very different. And one of the very first things I wanted to do when I came into this role and didn't realize the overwhelming task of the many things that we have to kind of dig out of, was to work with the MTA on the actual student day schedule and instructional day and what teachers do within that day. We need to get agreement with the MTA on what that looks like. So we are working on modeling around a scheduled day for elementary age students. In particular, the kind of time that teachers have within their day. Currently, there is admin time, there is teacher prep time. Some teachers don't get their prep time. And, I think that they need to have their prep time, and the union knows I have this belief. But there's not equity across all of our schools in how this time is used. We need to get under that. It's a task that the MTA and I have on our parking lot list of things to accomplish, because that's going to direct how we do our professional learning communities. And that's going to direct how our master teachers work with other teachers, how we do our coaching model, how we look at student work together, how we plan our lessons and our units. And I think that's going to bring down some of this feeling, because they need more time. Matter of fact, when we did our planning last summer, the number one problem of practice that I brought to the team was time. It's been a long time since I've been in a classroom to teach, but I observe them all the time. I consider myself a big teacher, and I consider myself really steeped in instructional practice, and have always been someone who believes in good instructional practice and working with teachers on that. And without time, it's very challenging to do the work. So I am committed to looking at this issue with the union, coming to agreement, and hopefully putting something in place. It does cost more money, because when you do it, that means kids have more specials, which is also good for kids too, to get that co-curricular time during the day. Really wanting to work on it. I did also want to talk about walkthroughs. I think, when I got here, we got the audits that said that there's kind of this culture of fear and retaliation, and there's, kind of this admin against teacher kind of fear. I want the teachers to know, and I want everyone to know, that I don't bring that here. And so we really need to work together on ways in which we can shift our culture to one where we can be a district that has a culture of not just grace, but high expectations, but also high levels of support and coaching, and you can make mistakes, and you can grow from those mistakes. and it's okay. And then you do better when you know better. And I know I said that at a board meeting, several board meetings ago, but I really mean it, and I want us to be a district that really lives it out. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any follow-up, Director Herndon? Okay. Yeah, I think if there is, the walkthroughs seems like sort of not an easy or quick fix, but something that we could maybe address and have some clarity around pretty quick for everybody. So, because there are so many different versions of walkthroughs that the district has used over time, so. All right, anyone else with comments or questions? All right, thank you. Thank you again for everybody who testified this evening. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, item 2 is report with possible action on literacy across language and cultural programs. This is an informational item, and although it has been noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Would administration please present this item?
Director Simpson and members of the committee, Brenda Caselli is superintendent. This item provides an overview from the Department of Multilingual and Multicultural Education on the role of literacy across various language and cultural programs. The presentation will highlight key instructional practices that support student achievement, including oral language development, co-teaching models, culturally responsive curriculum, and cross-linguistic transfer. I'm here with my colleagues, and they will help answer any questions that you have and do the presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Caselius. Chair Simpson and members of the committee, Sarah Borges, Curriculum Specialist for English for Multilingual Learners. We have this session for you titled Updates from the Department of Multilingual and Multicultural Education. English as a second language teachers support literacy by teaching English language development. English language development, or ELD, is an interactive social process that occurs over time to expand what our multilingual learners can do with language across the curriculum. Teachers integrate academic content standards and ELD standards to facilitate instruction where content is a context for language learning and language is a means for learning academic content. One way the ESL teacher does this is by teaching skills students need to access grade level content. In classrooms where an ESL teacher co-teaches with the classroom teacher, for example, one might see the ESL teacher working with half the class on building the background knowledge of the students by explaining the author's culture as well as the historical context of a story. The students with the ESL teacher will receive practice at asking and answering questions before moving on. The end goal for both teachers is to parallel their instruction so that all students receive lessons according to the standards. The approach may vary based on the needs of the students and teacher expertise. Along with the ESL teachers that teach in schools that have an ESL program, this year the district hired 6 itinerant ESL teachers to work in schools that have high numbers of multilingual learners, but historically have not had an ESL program. These schools include the following high schools: King, Reagan, Vincent, and Washington, and the following elementary or middle schools: Alcott, Burdick, Cooper, Fairview, Honey Creek, Ideal, Golda Meir, and Morse. The district English as a second language 3-member team are on the district literacy team. We support the work of All Will Read by writing modules and units that guide instruction of literacy teachers K-12. On district professional development days, ESL facilitates literacy-based sessions. We also lead sessions. For example, in November, I teamed up with Dr. Torres, bilingual education curriculum specialist, to provide K-12, ESL, and bilingual teachers professional development around co-teaching and literacy. In addition, the district ESL team engages in letters training, the partnership with HMH, and provides guidance documents for literacy instruction. One example is the guidance we're providing the Newcomer Center at South Division High School. The teachers have pacing and structure for teaching word recognition skills to high school newcomer students. The guidance informs teachers, students, and parents on the skills that students have mastered and what they are still missing based on the instruction they receive that utilizes high-quality instructional materials. I will now invite Ms. Musa to share.
Chair Seamson and members of the committee, Alyssa Musa, First Nation Studies Specialist. The First Nation Studies program offers both in-school and after-school programming for Native American students of all ages in our district. Currently, the First Nation Studies K-8 program is actively supporting 7 MPS elementary and middle schools with high numbers of Native American students enrolled. The First Nation Studies K-8 teacher coordinates with the classroom teachers and families to provide targeted literacy support for students based on their individual needs. At the high school level, Native American students participating in the First Nation Studies College Access Program engage in weekly lessons from a culturally responsive curriculum to develop students' identities, interpersonal skills, post-secondary planning. The First Nation Studies College Access teacher supports students with their resume building, scholarship applications, reflective goal setting, and navigating the ways in which students can achieve their post-secondary goals. After school, the Reading Circle Book Club is available for Native students in 1st through 5th grade. On a weekly basis, students gather to read books primarily authored by Native American writers and featuring Native American characters and content. Students build community with each other as they explore their identities and strengthen their literacy skills. The First Nation Studies Library houses thousands of titles for all MPS staff to borrow. The collection has been curated over many years to feature a range of titles, from poetry to chapter books, picture books to graphic novels. There's quite literally something for everyone to bring into their classrooms or to develop staff background knowledge about regarding First Nations, primarily in the state of Wisconsin. Not only do the student-facing programs in First Nation Studies have the benefit of leveraging this library collection, but the Act 31 teacher also actively guides teachers to text selections most suited to their instructional needs. The Act 31 teacher curates collections of texts in the library around thematic topics, such as maple sugaring or tribal sovereignty, to share ideas for infusing First Nation studies into all grade levels. I now invite Dr. Rocio Trejo to share.
Thank you. Chair Seamson, members of the committee, Rocio Trejo, Director for the Department of Multilingual and Multicultural Education. All right, recognizing that language comprehension and word recognition interact across two languages, understanding these connections can help us design instruction that truly supports biliteracy. On this slide, we highlight some of the components of the science of reading: phonological awareness, phonics, vocabulary fluency, and comprehension, where comprehension includes oral and written expressions. These are the evidence-based skills we explicitly teach in any reading program. In bilingual classrooms, we add cross-linguistic transfer. This means we show students how a skill in Spanish can support English and vice versa. For example, knowing the Spanish word información can help a student decode and understand the English word information. This makes instruction intentional and connected. Staff can engage in this practice through ALMA moments and the bridge. All learners also need to develop metalinguistic awareness, the ability to reflect on how language works. Bilinguals need to attend to this in two languages. They notice patterns, ask questions, and think strategically about language. For example, a student might ask, does this sound exist in both languages? Or how does word order differ in Spanish and English? This builds flexibility and strategic bilingual readers. By explicitly connecting these three elements, science of reading, cross-linguistic transfer, and metalinguistic awareness, instruction is systematic, evidence-based, and tailored for biliteracy. Students are not just learning two languages, they are learning to think about language, about the way they express themselves orally and in writing in each language, transfer knowledge, and become fully biliterate. The bilingual dual language program is aligned with the science of reading by providing clear guidance and structure across grade levels. For K-5 through 5, this includes daily word recognition instruction in each language. These guides now have weekly cross-linguistic lessons that explicitly connect both scopes and sequences, allowing students to solidify their learning by connecting both languages. Integrated reading and writing instruction in each language. For grades 6 through 8, integrated reading and writing lessons with word study are embedded in units that alternate the language of instruction every 5 weeks, supporting transfer and biliteracy development. We will continue to use the Biliteracy Unit Framework by Beeman and Euro as the instructional foundation for bilingual dual language programs. I now invite Ms. Gonzalez to share.
Chair Simpson, members of the committee, Sol Maris Gonzalez, Curriculum Specialist for World Language and Language Immersion. Literacy and immersion is intentionally developed through listening, speaking, reading, and writing, which are embedded throughout daily instruction in French, German, and Spanish. Strong oral language provides the foundation students need to comprehend text and express ideas in writing. Teachers use authentic materials, real text, stories, videos, and resources created for native speakers of those languages to support reading comprehension, expose students to academic language, and deepen cultural understanding. Students also receive explicit instruction in academic vocabulary and language structures so that they can access grade-level content through the target language. Our literacy progression is powerful. In the lower grades, instruction prioritizes the target language to build strong foundational literacy skills. As students progress through the grade levels, English literacy is added gradually and intentionally to support biliteracy development over time. Instruction is planned with language proficiency growth in mind, ensuring students move from novice to intermediate and eventually advanced levels. As proficiency increases, students engage with more complex text and produce more sophisticated written language. Teachers regularly use formative assessments, including writing samples, reading checks, and performance tasks to monitor student progress and adjust instruction to support ongoing literacy development. Across all immersion programs, students take the STAMP assessment, which measure proficiency in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Last year, STAMP was administered in fifth grade, and this year, it has expanded to third grade to provide earlier and more consistent data on student language growth. Spanish immersion currently uses STAMP as its primary language proficiency assessment. In French immersion, students also participate in the DELF, an internationally recognized French language proficiency assessment issued by the French Ministry of Education. Students take the DELF A1 in second grade and DELF A2 in fourth grade, providing external validation of proficiency development. In German immersion, fifth grade students take the A2 level on the way to the DSD. I will not say it in German, which measures language proficiency aligned to international standards and provides additional data points on student progress. Our language allocation framework ensures intentional exposure to the target language. Students receive the majority of their instruction in French, German, and Spanish in the lower grades, with English literacy added progressively to support biliteracy. Teachers support students in making cross-linguistic connections, identifying cognates, structural similarities, spelling patterns, and text features that strengthen reading and writing in both languages. Instruction is aligned to actual proficiency expectations, as well as the Common Core state standards, ensuring that students are meeting grade-level academic benchmarks while also advancing their language proficiency. Schools engage in a range of biliteracy supportive practices, including guided reading in the target language, shared reading, writing routines, and authentic opportunities for students to demonstrate their skills through performance tasks and written work. Thank you, and we're ready to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. The language programs are such a wonderful gift to our children, I mean, to our district, but to the children who attend them and participate in them. And I remember former Director Baez always used to say, you know, come to MPS and learn a second language, and I just love that. We've kept those programs going, and it's really exciting to hear about all of them. We do have some speaker slips, but Madam Secretary, do we have any members who are on the virtual platform?
We do not.
All right, then we'll go ahead. So we have Amy Mizialko. I don't see her. Jennifer Santiago.
Good evening, everyone. I am Jennifer Santiago, and Santiago. I am a teacher at Alva. However, I will be reading a message from a friend and colleague, Alondra Garcia, tonight. Okay? Hello, my name is Alondra Garcia, and I'm a second grade bilingual teacher at Allen Field Elementary, a proud product of the bilingual program in the MPS district. The way the PD for the new literacy plan rollout has happened has been a disaster. We are being asked to complete a task without being provided the appropriate professional development that we need. Personally, I would need coaching on how to properly implement all aspects of what is being asked of us. The rollout is inconsistent and distant in the time frame. Introduction to the new task that is not enough to learn about. Introduction to the new task is not enough to learn about the new literacy plan. I have not been provided with appropriate guidance and training for the daily word recognition portion of the literacy block. We need clarification on new roles of ESL teachers, as a lot of the English instruction is during ESL time. English language development is not only phonics, as you heard, it is also oracy, reading, writing, and comprehension. It is all integrated and should definitely not be happening in isolation. We are being tasked to implement this new literacy plan that is new to our bilingual teachers in the district. It's overwhelming. I feel lost and never have felt this way in my 7 years of teaching as a bilingual teacher in the district before. There is not enough time to do all of the curriculum we are being asked to do, and on top of that, all the assessments that we are expected to already do. It's just too much. Teachers are frustrated, and when they do, they shut down. They won't feel motivated to teach something that they haven't received appropriate guidance on how to teach in the first place. Please hear us.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Luz Hernandez, and then Glorimar Melendez.
Got it right.
Yay.
Good evening to you all. Luz Hernandez, Hernandez, bilingual teacher for Milwaukee Public Schools for 29 years. I am concerned that the current literacy plan does not developmentally align with the needs of Spanish-speaking students in MPS bilingual programs. These one-way and two-way dual language programs are designed to build biliteracy in both English and Spanish. However, the district's literacy plan centers on a science of reading approach that emphasizes English foundational skills such as phonics and decoding, without clearly explaining how this approach will be adapted for multilingual learners developing literacy in 2 languages. While systematic phonics is important, research shows that emergent bilinguals need integrated support for oral language, vocabulary, and comprehension across both languages. Without explicit connections to language development and biliteracy, the science of reading may be implemented in a monolingual way, even if it is intended for, quote, all students. The MPS bilingual model intentionally promotes cross-language connections through practices such as building oracy, the bridge, and the extension. These approaches recognize that literacy in one language supports literacy in the other. Yet the literacy plan does not clearly explain how these biliteracy priorities will be incorporated into professional development, curriculum decisions, or classroom practice. Emergent bilinguals are not simply monolingual English learners. They bring linguistic strengths in Spanish that support cognitive development and literacy growth. Without explicit guidance, teachers may default to English-only instruction that undermines the goals of the bilingual program that I so love. Although the literacy plan speaks about honoring culturally and linguistically diverse learners, it lacks concrete strategies and accountability measures. Key questions remain unanswered. How will professional development address biliteracy pedagogy? How will reading interventions integrate supports across languages? To truly support Spanish-speaking students, the literacy plan must explicitly integrate bilingual program goals with science of reading implementation, provide professional learning in biliteracy pedagogy, and offer clear guidance on leveraging students' home language to strengthen literacy in both languages. Our literacy plan must move beyond broad equity statements and intentionally support the developmental pathways of students learning to read and write in 2 languages. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Glorimar Melendez.
Good evening again, board members. My name is Glorimar Melendez, Melendez. I want to clarify that I am the building representative in my school. I work at Forest Home Avenue School. It's the biggest K-5 school in the district. So when I say that no one feels comfortable, or we are all struggling with this literacy, our literacy rollout, this literacy rollout is because I hear it every day. And it's not because we're not competent. We are competent and we master our craft. Is that today we're told this is what you're supposed to do. 3 days later, there's a change. You go into another module, there's another change. And I want you guys to have a copy of Module 4. This is the latest thing that we received recently. And I would like for you guys, and I invite you to go online and start clicking away. And you can see how many tabs start opening and how long it would take you to understand this. And it's not that we're not smart. I think we could together rewrite this and make it better, is that it's time consuming. And then this is today, next week, there's another change. 2 days later, there's another change. And then we're told it's a live document. So I would like to hand out this copy, and I invite you to go online so that you can understand what we're saying. But we are still asking, can we please have a PD in which we actually learn? We want you to model what teaching actually looks like under this new instructional guide. We want it to be demonstrated, and demonstrated in the allotted times that we have in our schedule. For example, I have 70 minutes for literacy in English and 40 for word study. I would like to see this whole day 1 module because that's where we're lost. I am also respectfully requesting 2 adjustments to be made. Reducing the number of mandatory weekly stories from 3 to 2, allowing teachers professional discretion in determining the timing of word study within our literacy block. We are fully committed to Wisconsin Act 20. However, the statute defines what must be taught, not how many texts per week must be completed or how instructional minutes must be divided. It allows professional discretion in implementation. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I did some research
and I did not find that we need to stick to a certain amount of stories, and that's where we're having problems. There's way too many stories to cover. Today, I started with day 1, and I did half. We're supposed to listen to the whole story and day 1 and ask questions and do vocabulary. I invite you to go through that document. Within a bilingual framework, as outlined by Beeman and Url, literacy development requires intentional integration of oral language, cross-linguistic transfer, vocabulary depth, and morphology across both languages. Reducing required stories would allow deeper comprehension, stronger academic discourse, and meaningful vocabulary instruction, all components required under Act 20. Allowing flexibility in word study timing would ensure phonics and morphology are strategically aligned with language development in bilingual classrooms and all classrooms. Less is more. So not only bilingual classrooms, we have to do double the work in less time than monolingual classrooms, but our monolingual peers are also suffering. And to prove that this is how all teachers feel, I want all the teachers to write emails to express how they feel. Many teachers have not done it because we don't have the time or the energy. But I think we need to start speaking up so we can be heard. And it's not because we're not competent.
Thank you. If there is more to your testimony, I'm so sorry.
I will send an email.
I will send an
email.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Hate to cut people off. All right. So we're back to committee members, Director Funds.
Yes, thanks for all the people who have testified this evening. And I think that you guys are in communication, and that is the intent of the administration, is to hear from our teacher leaders, and I know they're taking that into account. So just keep up the pressure. I'd just like to speak in strong support of the multilingual and multicultural education programs. I have a lot of experience with a number of these programs. The ESL program, we've worked with at South, lots of the new approach that we've had in welcoming immigrant communities to Milwaukee. And we know what's been happening across the country, and I really want to express my feeling that MPS is a place where immigrant communities should feel welcome, not just Spanish-speaking, but Arabic and many other languages that ESL teachers are working with. There are thousands and thousands of students who are benefiting from these programs, and we want to be a welcoming place from my perspective. I've seen a lot of dramatic interventions with students, and it's really incredible how ESL programs can profoundly help students who have come to this country and are contributing a lot. I also worked with the First Nations Studies program in the last few years of my career, and want to also put forward my strong support of that program. The interventions with Native students who have a lot of obstacles is a real help for many hundreds of students. And I'd like to do have a shout out for the library. People should really try to take advantage of the library that First Nations offers to all teachers. The biliteracy program and dual language programs, both of my children are going through and have benefited immeasurably. And I have a personal stake in those programs, in that both of my girls have done really well in them, and it has been a huge growth opportunity for them because they can perceive language in different ways, and it's been very rewarding, their experiences in Milwaukee Public Schools. So thanks for all the educators and to MPS for offering these programs. They're fantastic, and we should hear more about them in the media, which we don't hear a lot of. So, thank you.
Thank you, Director Pence. I could not agree with you more. Any other committee members who wish to make comments or ask questions? All right, so yeah, again, thank you to the speakers. I know your voices are being heard. Keep bringing them to us and this committee. And you know, when we have these meetings, I'm just so often reminded of the talent that we have in our district. Our leaders who are here, you know, working and overseeing some of these really important programs, and then the staff who is implementing them. So just thanks all around to everybody who's doing this important work. It does not go unnoticed. Seeing there are no other hands up, Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, that was the last item on this meeting's agenda.
All right, thank you so much. As a reminder, a special meeting of the board will begin in room 155 shortly after this meeting adjourns. There being no other business before this committee, this meeting is